I request Professor B.D. Mukta, Shri Sagar Dhara sir, and Dr. Ravindranath Shanbhag sir to please chair on the stage, sir. Everyone, please settle down.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅವ್ರ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದಷ್ಟ ಬರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ತಳಗಿಲ್ಲ ಹಾಂ ಇದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅದು ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೆ ಹಾಂ ಫೋನ್ ಪೇ ಹಾಂ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫೋನ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಇದು ಆನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಸೆಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಯಾವುದು ಇದು ನಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ನನ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರಾಗ ಇನ್ನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರಾಗ ಹಾಂ ಮಂಜುಗು
It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to this one-day seminar on climate change, issues and challenges, organized by K.L.E. Kothambri Law College, Hubli. We have, and please maintain silence, please friends. We have an exciting and interesting day ahead. We delve into the various aspects of climate change, its impact, and the pressing need for sustainable solutions. To begin the first technical session, let me take you to today's agenda and introduce the distinguished dignitaries who will enlighten us with their expertise. So, to formally welcome the gathering and introduce the session, I invite Ms. Megha Reddy, Assistant Professor
ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್
at the
ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡು
Institution. Please join me in welcoming her with a round of applause.
Good morning, esteemed dignitaries, invited faculty, and my dear student friends. It is my privilege to welcome and guest for the first technical session, Dr. B.D. Hooda, sir. He's a retired vice principal, K.L.E Society's SK Arts and HST Science Institution, Hubli. Completed his PhD from Karnataka University, Dharwad in 1994, and he has been awarded in 1996 on water pollution and water bodies. And sir is a member of Board of Studies and Chairman Institution Committee, Karnataka University, Dharwad, and he has established a medical garden in 2002 with more than 220 medicinal plants. Also established a water testing lab established by Karnataka State Pollution Control Board Bengaluru in 2000 at SKR State Science Institution. I welcome you for this function. I request PG Madam to present an intro and welcome sir.
ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
The first resource person for today is Sagar Dhara sir. Environmental engineer Sagar Dhara is no celebrity, but what he has achieved is worth putting into this spotlight. Born to an eye surgeon and a well-read mother-in-law, and Dhara remembers having to work for an underdog from his years at IIT Bombay in 1970. Even though he always had a job, his altruistic side has always remained active, working for several people's movement for free. When Janjagriti Samiti fighting against Udupi plant came to him, he was again only to help happily to them, and it was the basis of his report submitted by Tara sir. more than 5 crores of rupees were awarded as a compensation. And I welcome sir on the panel. I request Harish to present a moment to show total love and respect. The next speaker, that is Dr. Ravindranath Shanbhag sir. I was a student of law when I first met Dr. Ravindranath Shanbhag in a small office in Vaikunta Galiga Law College, Udupi. This desk was filled with a mountain of papers and documents. Little did I know the small desk, the stories of justice. The air carried a sense of anticipation and anxiety as numerous people awaited to discuss their matters with Dr. Shanbhag. Dr. Shanbhag is a former professor of pharmacology turned activist, a founder, a president of Consumer Forum, Buster, and Human Rights Protection Foundation. Like many human rights activists, 75 years old, wanted to reform the judicial system and address injustices faced by minority communities. However, he did not wait for Congress to knock on his door. It all began when Dr. Sharma was in Mangaluru, Karnataka, during the 1975. Um, he observed that the convicts were being exploited by the jail authorities and introduced prisoners to understand the root cause of their actions. In 1992, he founded HR, Human Rights Protection Foundation, to offer assistance against any form of injustice. So has completed 41 years in consumer and human rights movement. He has witnessed more than 38,000 grievance citizens. And he did not charge even a rupee for his service. More than 2,700 workshops were conducted across India to create awareness and train advocates, activists to continue their activities. Recognizing this, Dr. Sharma has been appointed as the Conservation Officer at Udupi District Senior Citizen Protection Division. Sir has successfully implemented more than 700 senior citizens to solve their problems. The mission is to establish a result-oriented, issue-based, political movement with non-violent methodology. I welcome you to this function, sir. I request Shivan Gowda to come and present a memento. I will give you round of applause. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Megha Reddy. To set the tone for this session, we now our respected chairperson, Professor B.B. Head Principal, History Arts and HST Science Institute, Hubli. To deliver the opening remarks, let's welcome him warmly. Respected former principal and the specialists in the different fields of global climate change, the environment, and without taking more time because they are so special. Every minute is very important for all of us, including me. So that directly I request Dr. Sagar Dhara to start his first national speech on environment and its effects. Thank you.
Thank you. Um, do we have these lights on? Okay. Can you hear me behind me? Yeah. First thing is, I would thank the organizers for inviting me here and looking after me very well, receiving me at the station, etc. Um, Normally, I like to speak in Indian language. I do understand Kannada, but I can't speak Kannada. I apologize for that. And therefore, with these rare, before I start, there are two things I want to explain. Why I have chosen this title on my CV is um, the longest war humans have fought is the war against nature. It is war. What is it? It is the use of energy to accomplish something. And that is what we've done to nature. We have used an enormous amount to actually accomplish nature in the belief that we are superior to the rest of nature. I will come to that a bit later. The second part is introduction. When Sharda Patil asked me, I don't believe in sirs and so on. These hierarchies I think to be dispensed with. I know students who are 25 and 22 years choose to be called sir. They call me by my first name. That's how I like to be addressed. So, therefore, I want Professor Sharda Patil. Sharda Patil, because it brings in a sense of humor. And that's what we need to bring into it. Please don't start from now on. No, sir. I will not respond if you want. So why do I introduce myself? When Shata asked me to for a CV, I said, listen, it's very simple. I don't want to be introduced by the degree that I have or where I worked or how many papers I wrote or what. And I'm going to be a little irreverent in my speech, but I'm tired of being nice. Niceness has not, I noticed, got me to others. Nastiness has got me more away. So I'm going to be very nasty today, mostly to
Light
myself,
telecast.
but then to the world as well. Okay? Now, why do I introduce
Light
myself this
telecast.
way? Sorry, go back.
Arnold.
It's only when I recognize that I'm part of the problem, when I just thinking that I must change myself, I must change the world. If I think that, no, I'm part of the solution, then I'm very smart about it. So, I am a member of that species which has created havoc to nature. Let me recognize that first. And what are the other things? I'm a male. I'm part of that patriarchal society, the oppressor. I am upper class, upper class. I'm not saying that with pride. I'm saying that with humility, that I recognize I'm part of the oppressor. I'm a city slicker. I've been grown up in cities. Cities consume 75% of all the energy that is consumed. They extract energy, they extract resources from rural areas. They devour the rural areas. That's part of it. And the more you study, the more you extract from nature. So, as you know, it's a very simple equation. Illiterate does not earn very much. Whereas a person who studies law tends to earn much more, obviously. So I'm really part of the problem. And if I'm part of the problem, then obviously maybe there is a better chance that I will do something about trying to solve it. Okay? That's why I introduce myself this way. Okay. Now let me come to some of the I just highlight a few legal issues. And I'm going to be a little irreverent about it. Law is a piece of shit. Engineering is a bigger piece of shit. And economics is the biggest piece of shit. Very well. And they all masquerade as if they're solving the problem. No, they're actually creating the problem. Ask yourself a simple question. Why is the environment in India or the world, in spite of all this environmental law that we have, actually deteriorating? I asked this question 30 years back to the chairman of the Punjab Pollution Control Board. And after doing an environmental impact assessments for so long, every impact assessment study says, I'm good, now everything is good. You just tinker around a little bit and everything is fine. Why am I integrated? You're not. As people who teach environment policy, after all this law, why has the environment degraded? What does it tell you? It tells you that it has not worked. So you need to find why it has not. Okay. Let me pose a few uh, legal questions here. This is another guy. When did it happen? End of July. This is quite a disaster happened. Right? Landslide happened. My friend Dr. Vishnu Das predicted this 12 hours before this landslide happened. 1,043 people died on paper. The people there, I was here twice after the event. And the local people say that the actual number of deaths is probably double the number. Many of the people who died are migrant workers from Assam or from Ethiopia who are not on the roads. Not on the roads simply because they are on the tea garden roads. The tea estates are the okay. So we had this event out here. I took a lot of pictures. See the landslide. Now this is a very interesting problem. And I will pose a legal question after that. This is a problem, it's a double whammy problem. It's a double whammy because the heavy rainfall of 600 millimeters within 48 hours is because of climate change. There's no doubt about it. Why did the landslide happen? It's because we tinkered with the local environment and replaced the forest with plantation. Now, what happens in plantation? I'm going to go pretty quickly in all these slides. The plantation roots are never as deep as forest roots, the forest species roots. They don't have the same gripping power. And so when you have heavy rainfall, the earth comes loose and the boulders come loose, they come down, people who are in the way get smashed. That's what happens. So this is what I mean. These are pictures of the plantation groups, and the same thing happened in 2018. So you have a forewarning, right? Now, the legal question is that if Vishnu Das want the district collector 12 hours before because there are 200 meteorologist patients, why not? And the district collector went to sleep. And the next day she asks, why did you call me? Now, isn't this negligence on the part of the government? Shouldn't government take compensation? This is not a new question because when COVID happened and Kumbh Mela happened, I talked to my Supreme Court lawyer friends. So why can't we file a case saying that Kumbh Mela should never have been allowed by the government of India and that virus could spread all across, particularly Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. And we faced enormous difficulties in filing a case, right? Let me go back just to two more instances. The 2004 tsunami, unfortunately, I have slides for these things. The 2004 tsunami, which happened in Sumatra, which killed 250,000 people all over Southeast Asia and in India, and a little bit even on the African coast. We hit the Andaman Islands at 6:45 in the morning. Air Force Station warned Delhi before 7 o'clock in the morning. We hit the Tamil Nadu Andhra coast at what 9:30. Enough time for government of India to evacuate the people. They have to be evacuated only half a kilometer or little more than half a kilometer. It's just the time when the fishing boats were coming in and women were going in to receive the fishing boats because they receive the fishing boats, take the catch, sort it, sell it in the market. 10,000 fishermen died in a matter of 1 hour in the Andhra and the Tamil Nadu coast. Now, the government of India was warned that there is a tsunami which is hitting the Andaman, it's going to hit India. The East Coast. We lost 10,000 people. Was it the negligence on the part of government? Yes. Okay. Now, let's go to the Assam cyclone which happened in 1990. Again, I have the satellite pictures for all these things. ISRO satellite warned Orissa government for 4 days. I have the pictures for 4 days of the cyclone coming and hitting the Orissa coast. They warned the Orissa government of the intensity of exactly what time landfall will happen, exactly where we lost 50,000. Our own satellite pictures were showing what was going to happen. I went to Bhubaneswar and beyond, met the Home Secretary, and what did he tell me? That the governor of Odisha had passed. Until Chandrababu Naidu, the chief minister of then Andhra government, sent the first satellite phone to the chief minister of Odisha. The Odisha chief minister could not communicate with his wife. As simple as that. The government collapsed. Wasn't that ridiculous? Or in this Mumbai case, why not? That happened in July this year. Wasn't that negligence on the part of government? Now, here is a legal question. How do we establish if government? Let me tell you something else. Now, in the Bhopal Gas Act, as you know, there was a big accident in Bhopal in 1984, December, when 42 tons of methyl isocyanate, a highly toxic substance, came out. Let's not get into the whole story. That's a very solid story. But essentially, what government of India did was it created the Bhopal Gas Act to go and file a compensation case in Judge Keenan's court in New York. What was the legal doctrine it used? It used something called parents' contract. That is, I will act as your parent. I will do something. Now, in enacting the Bhopal Gas Act, you say, "No, my parent, why did you disappear when the SMS happened? Where were you when the tsunami hit? Where were you when Mordecai happened? Were you not my parent? Or were you parent only to grant money from the Stevens court?" Now, as lawyers, how do you start this argument of government of Kerala or government of Odisha? Now, I talked to lawyers about it, many senior lawyers about it. We haven't got an answer, right? Okay, this is the graph that happened. I won't get into this right now. I'll probably get into it a bit later. Sorry, backwards. Here's the second question. Which year do you do property law? Second year?
First year.
Where does property law come from? The concept of ownership, where does it come from? You know, there's a huge law for property. I have looked at books in philosophy and in law, and I have not found the property law is based. It's a binary. It's sitting up there. It has no foundation. It has absolutely no foundation. It is sitting up there on thin air, and I will knock it off for you in a minute. And I want you to justify what is the legal basis to property law. In engineering, there's a concept called energy return on energy invested, which means by putting 1 joule of energy to getting, let's say, iron ore out, okay, or coal, let's say coal out, right? I can get 20 joules out of the coal, or 30. Or if it's a good seam, I can even get 80 joules. I have invested only 1 joule. So this is called energy return on energy invested. Now, what is that energy that I have invested? I have invested that 1 joule in order to prospect, which means to find, in order to dig, extract, in order to transport, and in order to maybe in some odd case refine. I do maybe coal washing. Okay. Now, it's a very simple question that we need to ask ourselves. Who made that coal? How much energy did it cost to the person who made it? Who made the coal?
Nature.
Nature. So I invest 1 joule, 19 is my profit. That is called surplus. Now, do other species make surplus? They don't. Only humans, because they have this unique ability to create knowledge of anything. or create knowledge, whether it be legal knowledge, engineering knowledge, scientific knowledge, or management knowledge. They're the only species that creates knowledge. And that knowledge with which we have tried to conquer nature. Okay? Now, that one zoo that I invested, I've raped 19 zoos. Guess how much energy nature has used to create that one zoo? Let's make a guess. Now, if you Google this, you won't get an answer because there's almost no word. But if you reconstruct it backwards using what is called speculative equations in chemistry, then the answer is very startling. You require 40,000 roughly to create one joule. How is that whole block nature of being? Where does this concept of property come, private property come from? I wonder if you can answer this question, or you can discuss this question in your class tomorrow. Where does it come from? And we study property. I'll tell you a little secret which I don't tell you. Besides engineering, which is what I practiced all along, I do have a body which I never use. I, I picked it up because I was working in trade unions in Bombay. But by the time I got to actually use it, of course, I worked as an engineer, I never worked as a lawyer. Well, the children came and other things happened. So, anyway, law went the way it went there. But I picked up some things, knowledge in law and used it at least in the trade that I was associated. So the concept of property, private ownership, or even state ownership, it's based on thin ice. It is not based on any fundamental understanding of science at all. There is a problem for you. Okay? Let me come to the war we've been waging against nature for 10,000 years. We have hacked to one third of the total forest that we had 8,000 years ago. That's more than 20 million square kilometers. Now, it takes energy to do anything. You want to do anything, it takes energy. How much energy did we use to have 20 million square kilometers of forest? So when we started doing a computation, we found that every year for 20,000 years, we use that much energy that is in 20,000 Hiroshima sized bombs. Now, isn't that a huge amount of violence against nature? Okay. With the forest species. And in a sense, what we're doing is we're hacking our own future. We require nature. It survived for billions of years without us. We need nature. Without it, we won't even exist. Here in Karnataka, let me tell you a small mythological story of the origin of the K.L.E. This is a mythological story. Okay. Now, there was a Asura, you know who an Asura is, eh? A demon, who basically ruled over Mysore. Surabaya. Now, one day, uh, basically, uh, this fellow was Indra was passing, Lord Indra was passing through Mysore, and he got very angry that Indradev didn't take a visa. So basically, what he did was he sent Varuna, chasing Indra, arrest the guy and bring him to court. That was smart fellow. So we ordered Varuna to use what is called stop start tactics. Varuna just stopped the rain, and the forest, sort of died along with the animals. People suffered. All this happened. And just then, Agastya was passing by. Agastya felt very sad, and he did what all Munis can do best, which is tapas. Tapas, and Shivji was very happy with him. And he said, "Okay, what do you want?" He said, "Shivji, please create a huge river so that people and forests and everything can come back to life." And Shivji gave him a commander full of water. He said, "Wherever you pour this water, a huge river will." Start from there. Now, Krishnamani is a good researcher. So he kept looking for the best place and he kept on sort of procrastinating. Finally, Ganesh got very angry, came in the form of a crow and toppled Ramanana, and that is Tarakati, very close to Tarakati. Right? What was the boon that Indradev gave? Sorry, that he gave to Agastya that this water is not just for humans, but for all creatures and all things living and we forgot that. We thought that water is only for us. And Karnataka goes to war with Tamil Nadu. Say, oh, this, it was an American leader. He said, uh, if mine and all the water is mine, because I'm a good guy, I will allow you to, take some water. And Tamil Nadu uses another American doctrine. It says that it's called water using tanks. And it says that, "Arey, we were using this water when we were still in the caves. You can't stop us. We go war with you." And Tamil Nadu and Karnataka war over the river, forgetting the original boon that Shivji gave. And this is where our problem is. Exactly where uh, science, technology, or religion, philosophy have not helped. They're all part of, to a certain degree, the whole problem of what I call anthropocentrism, a human dominated world. Just because we think we're smart, we run to shut up, right? It's exactly what science does. It understand how nature works, and that's what technology does. The future of it uses that understanding in order to extract energy and resources. And the problem is that we extracted too much. That's called growth, and that's our bane. Okay? And what we extract, we don't distribute it, we distribute it differentially. Some people get more, some people get less, some people die because of starvation, etc. So there is a double thing. We have stolen from nature, and what we see from nature is not distributed equally. These are the two fundamental problems we have in society: inequality and unemployment. Okay? So if you look at the whole pattern of growth, and this is a graph which I have kind of taken from several databases. They GDP, energy, and energy is very central to any development. No energy, no chemical processes, no biological processes. It's what is called a steady state. In thermodynamics, it's called steady state. It means nothing moves, nothing moves. Energy that is which the entire universe will reach some very, very billion years from now. Okay. So if you look at growth, the growth of population, energy, and GDP was about 0.1% per annum until about 1800. Suddenly we discovered fossil fuels, and all these three things, their growth rates jumped to over 1%. That means 10 times more. Now, if I were to um, use the same logic and look at how much energy are we using today, we are using approximately 15 GPOE. GPOE means gigatons of oil equivalent. Forget the units. We're using 15 units, right? If I were to maintain the same growth rate as what we are doing, which is 1.86% per annum growth of we will require in 100 years nearly 100 GPOE. In 200 years, we will require 600 GPOE. In 300 years, we will require nearly 3,750 GPOE. And in 400 years, we will require 23,000 GPOE. Where the energy will come from? From PV panels, from wind, What? The limit to growth. And the sooner we understand that there is a limit, okay. So people say, oh, Elon Musk said, oh, we can go to Mars. I have a simple question, Mr. Elon Musk. Where are you going to get the energy to go there? Is it available? It's not. Oil will last us for less than 50 years. Follow. Coal for less than 100 years. Uranium ore for less than 150 years. Okay? And you can say, okay, let's use PV panels. Problem is that to connect the PV panel to the grid, you need copper. Copper will exhaust out in another 50 years. So is iron. So is cadmium. So, so what happened? This is what happened to the Mayan society. It existed in 100 years. And this is all recent research, mind you. This is what happened to the Polynesians. You lose your energy, you lose your civilization collapses. And that is exactly the point where we are today. And I won't get into the scientific aspect of this whole thing. We have overused nature. We're on the point of a collapse. And many civilizations, including the Indus Valley civilization, collapsed because of an energy collapse. And in the energy collapse, what I'm talking about is the food. We are on the cusp of another energy collapse. And this time it's not just energy, it's also not renewable energies. These collapse, your civilization collapse. That's where we are today. Now, there are two parts to this whole environment. One is you're overusing energy as well as you're overusing non-renewable resources. The other is you're putting too much waste in the form of carbon emissions. And that is climate change. Okay? So that's climate change. That's the second tipping point. Now, there's a very interesting report that came out just before conference. And I find this term, I'm going to write a humorous article. COP29 is dead, long live COP30. Now, you heard about the COPs. And every year in November, all the governments meet and all the NGOs go there and all the scientists go there and all. I call it COP tourism. It's another form of eco tourism. They've done nothing so far. Next to nothing. The big words. Of course, COP29 is the biggest failure because they were supposed to generate the developing countries asked for a minimum of $1.3 billion per annum to be able to, get them through the whole problem of climate change. There are two parts to the funding. One is the, mitigation. What mitigation means? How do you decrease this whole problem? The second is the problem is already there because we are already 1.3 above in terms of temperature above what we were in 1750. So we already have extreme weather events and Mondakai is one happening all the time. Okay, the second part is adaptation, which means how we adapt the new climate. Okay? Together, adaptation and mitigation, the developing countries say that they wanted $1.3 billion per annum. The developed countries said, "Arey, bhai, we can only give you 300 billion." So, failed. Right? That is the main issue with COP29. Now, this report came out, written by some of the organic scientists. It was released 10 days before COP29. And for the first time, I'm seeing scientists like Johan Rockström saying we are on the verge of a societal collapse because of climate change. I've never seen this sentence before in scientific. But here they're talking about a societal collapse because of climate change. So, I'll just go through very quickly some of the graphs. That our emissions today are still growing around 1%. Okay, they should be decreasing at 16% per annum if we are to remain within a warming of 1.5 degrees, which is what scientists say is still livable. Okay? Okay. Sorry. The ice in the Arctic region, the Antarctic region, and Greenland is melting at very rapid rates. That is what these sets of graphs are showing. The ocean acidification is happening, and the sea rise is, is already happening, and it's going to happen much more on the east coast. In fact, the village I come from in Andhra, by 2100 will be no more. It's about 15 kilometers from the sea today. The sea is coming to kilometers. I modeled it and I showed it. Right? And you won't be able to read all this. But this report tells you the disasters, climate related disasters that have happened in the last 1 year, along with pictures, which is what I showed. You can see this happening in Brazil, floods. You can see drought in Ethiopia. You can see forest fires in Australia. You can see hurricanes in Haiti. You can see in California damaged roads. You can see, for example, typhoons in the Philippines or cyclones. And you can see coral bleaching. Coral bleaching happens because of even if there is a difference of 1 degree in the ocean, there's coral bleaching. Now, I have actually pictures of coral bleaching that I took in the Maldives. Which, I didn't have the time to extract them and show them. But it's there, it's all happening. This is called an orange river because the ice is melting. What in the Arctic region, you have iron and you have these, funny colors that you suddenly see. And today, scientists agree to a survey done of 15,000 scientists basically say that at the very least, we're going to go up to 2.7 to 3 degrees by 2100. And that's as good as a definite. And that issue of social justice, because finally, who's going to suffer the most? It's people in the top regions, and these are the poorest countries. Okay? And there are an increasing number of papers now talking about society collapse because of climate change. This is the scenario we have. An increase in cyclones, an increase in forest fires. And let me come to three specific things. This Greenland ice is a huge sheet of ice. It's 1.7 lakh square kilometers in India. It's 2 kilometers in thickness. All this is fresh water. This has started melting. Now, when it melts, all this fresh water will get into the Atlantic Ocean and it will disturb something called the thermohaline circulation. The thermohaline circulation is a convection current, which basically what it does is it distributes the excess heat that comes to the equator towards the poles by moving around both under the ocean as well as at the surface. Moves through all the major oceans, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Indian Ocean, and it distributes the heat. If this thermohaline circulation starts slowing down, then what will happen is that this heat will contain the equator, and you will this influences the climate in all the continents, the thermohaline circulation. You start disturbing this thermohaline circulation, you will disturb the entire climate all over the world. And the third problem, these are what about the feed-forward mechanisms. The third problem is basically when the lot of frozen earth in Siberia and in Alaska. Now, this contains a lot of methane. Now, methane, which is CH4, its global warming potential is 25 times that of carbon dioxide. If these billions of tons of methane come out, then it causes automatically additional warming. No, actually, the science is quite simple. You put out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. What does carbon dioxide do? The reflected infrared radiation that comes from the Earth it catches that. It doesn't catch the other uh, electromagnetic waves like light, X-ray, or catches only the infrared. Infrared comes out of the reflection of the Earth, catches that, and it sends it in all directions and also back to Earth. And that is what is global warming. So the more carbon dioxide or methane there is in the atmosphere, the entire energy balance of the Earth gets disturbed. And how does the Earth get rid of it? By heating itself. It's like you're getting a fever. You want to get rid of the virus or the bacteria by heating your body. You get fever and you kill the bacteria or virus. The Earth does the same thing. Heats itself. Get rid of the extra heat that's being sent to the Earth. That's the basic energy equation. Okay. Now, when this doesn't, when the heat doesn't matter, when your Arctic ice sheet will melt, and if it melts and it's already melting, then a few countries are happy because they expect to find more oil and gas. So they dig out more. Now, what does the Paris Agreement say? It says only two things. One is let us try to keep the warming below 2 degrees, so if possible 1.5. And the second thing is each country, you decide how you want to do it. Right? Now, also it says that if you want to keep within 1.5, then you have to halve the emissions as of 2030. So if we want to halve the emissions by 2020, completely carbon neutral, it means whatever carbon you put out, you bring it back somehow. Right? If you want to remain carbon, if you want to halve your emissions by 2050, then our emissions will drop by approximately 50-60% per annum. We're still growing. That means the COP has to. Right? And where will we end up? We will end up at a temperature somewhere today at about 2.7 to 3 degrees. That is where we will end up. Now, question is who has created this problem? It's the global north. Global north is 16% of the total population. And America alone has put out 23%. This is called cumulative emission. It's all the emissions from 1750 till today. America alone has 23% of the total. So it's Europe, America, Australia, Japan. Forget New Zealand. These are they have 16% of the total global population. The remaining 84% is the South. And look at the per capita cumulative emission, global north, basically, their per capita cumulative emission is 1,200 tons per living person today, whereas the global south is 8. Where is the climate crisis? So the global north has used more energy, and their per capita GDP is $45,000. What is the global south's per capita GDP? 5,000. What is India's? 2,000. No, at all. And we have known that carbon dioxide is a global warming molecule for more than 100 years. And I published this in an article. Right? 1896 we've known and done very little about it. Okay? So if you want to, basically, if you want to live with a 1.5 degrees warming, then the extra carbon dioxide that we can put out, we have only it is called carbon space. We have only that much carbon space. We will cross the carbon space in another matter of 5 years or so. That means by 2030 we will have crossed 1.5. People will get that entire carbon space to the developing countries, the global south. Will we reach the standards of the global north? Never. We cannot. Okay? From 84 to 1200, it comes out. Even if we get all let's say all the global north, you know, now use energy only from PV panels, not the PV panels that completely carbon neutral, they're not, but let us say, for the sake of argument, they will only PV panels for wind or hydro energy and give all the fossil fuels to India and China and other countries. Then we reach the standard of living of so this whole joke, I call it a joke, that we hear from politicians, sustainable development is a joke. You can either have sustainability or have development, not both. Now somebody has to give. Only then the others can go. You cannot have unlimited growth. You just can't do it anymore. Right? So the global south is in a catch-22 situation. If it says like what India and China say, no, 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 but we will continue to use fossil fuels. It is these very countries which are the most vulnerable, they will suffer the most. And I will come to that suffering a little later. If they say that no, no, okay, fine, we respect our emissions, you know, then you are permanently backward in global warming. They're in a catch-22 situation. And no law can solve this. Actually, these are far bigger political and economic problems. So essentially, the politics that you see in the COPs, there are three categories of countries. The global north, they're developed. Okay, there is still economic, inequality there. There are still beggars, and in fact, it's growing in England and even in America. For that matter. You find more poor people today found, let's say, 50 years back, both in England and America, right? But they reached a level standard of living. And what they're saying is, listen, we want to connect within 1.5 degrees. So let us use technology. If we have the money, we have the technology to try and do it. They're trying to force the same thing on the global south. Global south doesn't have the money, right? There's a second set of countries. I call them the vulnerable countries, that is India, China, maybe you can add Brazil and South Africa. And they say, okay, you guys have done it, so let me also do it. And they have the capability of doing it. They don't necessarily have the money. It has the technical capability. It has also some resources to do it. And there is a third category of countries which is called poor countries. What they say, that is Bangladesh and Nepal and Tuvalu and all the African countries. They tell the global north, whether you emit or the Indias and Chinas emit, they are going to suffer immediately. So both of you stop it. But no one's listening to them. Nobody is listening. Only and only corporate to after this decided I'm not going for these new form of ecotourism. Corporate nothing to do with it. Nothing happening. Okay. Basically, I interviewed the Bangladesh environment minister, and she said basically not listening to us. I met the Pakistani scientific delegate. No one's listening to them. Yeah, India has a voice because it's a big country. You know, it is the third biggest emitter now. From fourth, it has jumped to third. So people listen to it. Of course, not as much as they listen to America or the European Union, right? So this is what's happening. We can come to South Asia because we live here, right? Um, we are, we are South Asia is one of the two places which is usually most badly hit because of climate change. The other is the Sahel region of Africa, that portion of Africa which is below the Sahara Desert. Okay, now Bangladesh, and this is what's happened in India. India, this is so journalist friend. 4 years later, that school is gone. This is in the Sundarbans. It's a village in Andhra. It's gone by 2100. This is the Krishna Delta region. We come to Bangladesh. 20% of Bangladesh will be under the sea by 2100. There are 10 crore Bangladeshis walking out. They're much poorer. I've been to those areas around Kolkata. And they will walk out and they have no. Bangladesh has a population density of 1400 people per square kilometer. we say India has a high population density, they will walk into India. They will want to leave. So we will have competition between this. And basically, if we have a humane society, a humane India, we must say that, listen, this is not because who created this problem, because Bangladesh, their emissions is, what is its emission? 0.4% total global emission. It's not this problem of their 20% of their land going to the sea within the next 75 years. It's not there in 80. It's the global norm. And yet they're going to suffer. So I asked the environment minister, she said, "Are you going to publish an article in fact?" She said, "We don't have a solution." So Maldives are most beautiful places I've seen. I went there basically to teach them how to do electronic monitoring. They were not interested. They said, "I mean, we are going to all down. What is the point in doing air pollution monitoring?" So all the islands, 1,300 islands that are closed, the Maldives are gone by 2100. There are 5 lakh people and its population today are permanent gone. One of the most beautiful places I've seen anywhere in the world. Now let's come to countries of the west of India. Pakistan and Punjab and Pakistan are going to be so severely water stressed that you will have refugees walking into India from why? Pakistan has one river, the Indus, Sindhu Nadi. 60% of its water is because of ice and glacier. The Ganga and the Brahmaputra are only 10 and 20%. That's because the Sindhu, that's Indus, and its tributaries come from the much colder Karakoram range. With 60% of the water gone in the Indus, and they know it. Okay. What will happen to Punjab, the Pakistan Punjab and the Pakistan Sindh? The same thing that's happened to Punjab and Punjab. They will Punjabis in Pakistan are more powerful, bureaucrats, they are the army generals, they are the upper Indian state, they will take most of water, still will get very little, still will gang up with Balochistan and say, why the hell should we stay? Now, that's not the only question. The question then becomes, if Pakistan breaks up, who will control the nukes? So environment cannot be discussed in isolation to geopolitics. You have to discuss what is happening, what will happen to the Malacca states, to the Hormuz states. These are all very fascinating stories. What is going to happen to Tibet? Tibet, I'll show you a picture later, is the reason for South Asia and East Asia to be so civilized. The oldest civilizations in the world are China and India and Mesopotamia. Why? If you look at the picture of Tibet, all the rivers, the Yellow River, the Yangtze Kiang, the Irrawaddy, the Mekong, the Ganga, the Brahmaputra, the Indus, they originate in Tibet. And Tibet could very well become a war zone because wars were fought over not religion alone. Wars are primarily fought over natural resources. And the three primary natural resources are land, water, and air. And here we are, right at the center, because to the west of India you have a lot of oil. Okay? To the north of India, the Himalayas have water. Okay? And Bhutan and Nepal have a lot of water. And people start getting stressed out in terms of water stress. What will India start doing? They have to foresee some of these things. So environment is, has so far been dealt as a subject which, oh, you talk about the botany and the zoology and maybe, the soil. And no, it's so intimately related, not now, for the last 10,000 years, to geopolitics. You have to understand this. And that's why now have to then say that, okay, how do we foresee some of these effects and create such understandings, public understandings, that we all live happily together, if not happy, at least without conflict. Right. Now, you have the same problem in Afghanistan. They have they have three rivers, of which one of them is Amu Darya, which again gives them 77%, 75% of the water in Amu Darya comes from the cement. Once it's gone, the Afghans have little water, they will have to walk out. And both these are models that have become the World Bank. It shows that Afghanistan and Pakistan have become so water stressed that they have refugees. North of India, you will start having these what are called bluffs, glacial lake outburst flood. Every glacier, you have a glacial lake, which is retained by what is called natural dams, called a moraine dam. And these moraine dams, as the glaciers melt, these moraine dams will break as the water in the lake increases in water. And this water will flow down billions of tons of water, 100 kilometers, 150 kilometers. The recent one was in October last year in Syria. Villages, cattle, fields, everything will just go off. Okay, so India is going to become a country which will be affected by all things I have said so far and more. Because it's a big country. Heat stress is already killing every summer in India approximately 2,000 people. And that will go on. Floods is going to start killing people. Okay? So India is going to be badly affected. So this is the second tipping point climate. The third is inequality. Again, I won't spend time on this. Inequality is growing. Okay? Global inequality, what is happening is the top 1% of the population gets 90% of the total income, the bottom 50% gets only 9%. And the same as the story for India. And India's inequality is growing. So if you look at the sorry, carbon inequality, you have the same issue, right? And you have a, a lot of wealth in India and a lot of poverty also. This is what inequality in India looks like. Okay? And this inequality in India is growing. This is the third tipping point. So you have non-renewable natural resources decreasing, you have climate change, and you have inequality. The three tipping points, any one of which can collapse society. This is the point where, and none of our laws are looking at these three issues. Okay? Now, what does inequality do? It creates conflict. And just in the last century, we lost 140 million people in the world wars. World wars were because of basically resource grabs. Germany and UK fought for what? For resource grabs, right? And what does inequality do? It causes hunger, it causes disease, it causes depredation, right? What's the root cause? One is obviously anthropocentrism. And, and this is where philosophies and religions have not helped very much. The Abrahamic religions are openly anthropocentric. Okay? The non-Abrahamic religions, that is the Eastern religions like Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism and Confucianism, and these are less anthropocentric in their, but in practice, that just about as anthropocentric. That is, humans are superior, they can take whatever they want. This is the philosophy. Now, this philosophy is not good. It hasn't worked, right? So, even though in the Western lands we see sacred groves, in Hinduism, which is a very interesting religion, we see Dvait and Advait, two entirely opposite philosophies. Advait talks about not God, but some force, which is there in everything, and so on. In practice, however, it is not true. Because Hinduism has been as anthropocentric as the Abrahamic religions. Abrahamic religions are Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. So, if you look at the entire march of history, and that's the subject I really study now, much more than anything else. Okay? The march of history basically tells you that neither philosophy, nor religion, nor technology, technology of course is absolutely anthropocentric. You take whatever you can. not law, not economics, but actually help society solve these problems. Oh, already talked about ROE. Now, this whole question of private ownership that has been sustained right from slavery, that is 5,000 years ago, till today. We are in a capitalist society. And each one of these societies, whether it be slavery, feudalism, or capitalism, has allowed for private property to flourish. They're creating either unwritten laws or written laws like Contract Act or the Property Act and things of the sort. They're not. And there are other ways of extraction, which is conquest. So if I had colonies, like what Britain did, that I had colonies all over the place, and from India alone, it managed to grab 45 trillion dollars. And there's a third way of doing it, which is unequal exchange. Again, it is a bit complicated, but it's very simple. Why? And this is a legal question as well. Why, as a source of energy, is this sun not costed? Fossil fuels is costed, right? Wind energy is costed. Why is the sun not costed? Now, there is a difference between the way, as an energy engineer, I look at it. If I want to harvest the sun, I have to expend some energy. I have to prepare a field. I have to expend. If you want energy, you have to expend some energy. So energy doesn't come from free. You look at it in energy terms, not in money terms. Okay? But the economics, sun is not costed. And I've asked many of my senior economists, they say it's a ubiquitous good. I said, what is a ubiquitous good? And they won't really have an answer. They say water and sun are good. I said, to get water, don't I have to expend energy? I have to walk up to that point. I have to create a pattern, right? So there is an energy expenditure to get water or to harvest the sun in a field. Why is it not possible? That's right. I say that what economics has done is actually, whether it be from Adam Smith or from Ricardo, the two major schools, okay, both have been anthropocentric, essentially, right? Okay. So, are we solving the problem? No. Look at this renewable energy map, which is the latest. We're very far from even getting into these temporary solutions like PV panels and so on. All right. Let me come to very broadly what is the solution. See, at a philosophical level, we will have to start this understanding that we are a superior species. And that's a very difficult task because for 5,000 years we've convinced ourselves that we are superior. To undo that is a very difficult task. Okay. But we have to do it. We have to ask ourselves the question, are we part of nature or are we a part of nature? So far we behave as if we are part of nature. So do we allow the other part of it is, do we allow gain maximization for a few or risk minimization for all? Now if you look at other species, they only do risk minimization, they don't do gain maximization. There's something to learn from other species. So there are only two things very broadly that we need. One is move towards a society more equitable, and the other is we have to reduce our energy consumption, which automatically means consumption of all other material goods. So sustainable development is an oxymoron. Either be sustainable or safe development and be damned. You can't have sustainable development. It's an oxymoron. Okay? So you need major technological shifts. I'm not saying go back to the cave and or something, but we will have to discard high energy systems for low energy systems. That's an entirely new subject. And we will have to move from non-renewable resources to renewable resources. Like, for example, our future plastics will not come out of oil and gas, they'll have to come out of vegetation. These are called natural fibers. So there are we are on the cusp of very major changes. There are only two roads left. Either to make these changes or we finish. Right? So what are our challenges? One is, And here is a piece of law that in terms of sustainability, we have to say that the global north must become carbon neutral by 2030, 35, and leave the carbon space for the global south to become carbon neutral by 2040, 50. The second thing is climate justice. What does it mean? That those who are responsible for putting out the emissions, if they accept that they are responsible, the global north is not accepting that. Because they fear that after that there will be a spate of compensation cases in America and they fear it. And so they don't, oh, we are not responsible. And what does it mean? Climate justice basically means, okay, listen, you burnt out this fossil fuel, you benefited. Share the benefits and share the risks. That's a huge ask. But that is the meaning of climate justice. The third thing is equity. That is, you don't allow for income differentials to be of the maximum income to the ratio of the maximum to minimum income to be more than 5. Even 10, doesn't matter. Today it's of the order of 1,000 to 1. You can't allow this. Because the fellow is earning only 1 if he had to park. This is exactly the argument India offers. You guys say, well, fossil fuels right now. And this is developed. What it says in terms of climate justice, it doesn't do internally. None of these countries, not in the US or China, they're all unequal. What they, in the double speak, they say one thing outside, climate justice, so I can't do also develop, but they don't allow for the development of the other. Okay. The next is obviously, if you want this, then you have to democratize, decentralize, and do transparent. Today, on paper, it's not. The next thing is environmental restitution, and there's a big discussion often that on what is called eco restoration, or what I call eco restitution. I don't use the word restoration because you can never completely restore an environment which has been damaged. For example, if there is a species which has become extinct, you can't bring it back. And the last you have to share resources. Otherwise, we go to war. Practically, there are many, many things you can do, none of which will have an impact. But the reason why we have to do it, we have to reduce, for example, somebody may do organic farming, someone else may do something else. Or, you may try to reduce your heat loads in slum. We get the manual on how to reduce heat loads using PhD technology. And the story is as simple. One of my friends how to use it. Listen, I told you, my friends are given to I go what I do the one you say. The only two things you can do. Either you can put it on your pillow or you can put it into a pond. The minute you put it into a pond, you are basically because what the bank does is take your money, give you a bonus interest, and give it to someone else, take 12% interest on the person. So, not a social problem that we have, spiritual solution. Okay. So there are many things you can do. What really has to be done? We have to do these things to tell the other person, listen, I recognize there's a problem and I want to be part of it. That's the reason why. Even if this college says come by AC or come by flight, I don't. I want people to reduce their energy consumption and I consume more. Then people want to see. So I will not get more details. I will only say this that there are only two ways. One is either we solve this problem with very radical methods today, or well, the other one is society will see a lot of care. And this cannot be done by one country because the biogeochemical cycles are so distant today that you can only do it on a global scale. You cannot say that, oh, India will do its bit and America will do its bit. So basically, you need a rainbow coalition that cuts across. I can't just I need a South Asian Union to prevent war. South Asia over resources. Okay? So Um, okay. So this is Quebec. No? Uh, we need to know big lines across various things. And I'm only going to leave you with one last message out here. Besides the Rainbow Coalition, this work cannot be done by governments. This is what the cops have clearly shown. Now, I go back to 100 years. There have been four big movements in the last. The one is anti-colonial movements, like India taking independence. You know, 60% of the world, more than 60% of the world, gained its independence just before World War II to just after. Okay? And not done by governments, that was done by people. If you look at the next movement, the anti-capitalist movement, again, it was not done by government. Those anti-capitalist movements failed, fine, but it was done by people, right? In Russia, in China, wherever. The third is the civil rights movement, which basically was centered in America and South Africa. It was done by people, not by governments. And the last is the gender equality movement, which is, first women coming onto the roads and more recently LGBT coming onto the roads. This is not been done by governments. The biggest movement of leaders is going to be environment because it is not asking for equality between, not asking for just political equality or social equality or economic equality, which is what the previous four movements asked. It is asking for equality between species. It will never be done by governments, only people. But it's going to be the most chaotic movement. And that is what hope is. If we can do it and do it in time, we survive. If we can't do it, only the rich will survive. And having said that, thank you for listening very patiently. And I hope I have put some questions in your heads, which I hope you try to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shiv, for your valuable insights, sir, and for shedding light on the significant challenges climate change poses to natural resources. Now, the next technical session will resume as soon as the lunch is over, and Shambhav sir will be addressing this technical session. So you can gather back after the lunch. Sham, I request Kavita to propose a point.
I honor to extend my gratitude to resource person for the first technical session, Shri Sagar Dhara, who has enlightened us on the topic impact of climate change on our natural resources. Sir, thank you for sparing your valuable time and joining us. And we expect the same comment in your future areas. Thank you, sir. And also, thanks to uh, being with us, sir. Vice Principal, Retired Vice Principal, SSK Arts and Science Institute, Hubballi, for chairing the session. Thank you, sir. And also, I extend the sincere thanks to Shanbha, sir, who is about to speak in the next session because of the time constraint. Thank you, sir. And also, I extend my sincere thanks to all the audience for their patient hearing. Thank you, one and all. Lunch has been arranged. After the lunch, immediately resume in the hall exactly sharp at 2. Thank you.